So, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the session. So, as you all know that this particular course is like we are going to focus on AWS services as well as the DevOps tools. So, this course is DevOps with AWS Cloud. We are going to learn DevOps tools along with the AWS Cloud. So, let's start discussing about what is AWS and what are all the services that we are going to discuss, and what are all the services that are going to cover this particular course. Similarly, what are all the DevOps tools that we will be discussing in this particular course. So for that, let's begin with what is AWS and what are all the services that are going to be covered under this particular course. So as you all know, AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. You know the full form of AWS. AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. You know, right? Suppose if someone asks you what is AWS, so we can say that AWS is a cloud platform. AWS is a cloud platform. So there are many cloud platforms, or there are many cloud providers available. So for example, we have Azure Cloud, Google Cloud, we have an Oracle Cloud. So there are many clouds available. And AWS is also one of the cloud platform. Okay. So suppose someone asks you what is AWS, we can say that AWS is a cloud platform. And what actually AWS offers us? AWS provides us some services. What does the AWS consist of? AWS is having some services. Even let me show you. If you want to see what does the AWS is having, I'm having an AWS account. So once after logging into the AWS account, you see here, AWS consists of some services. So it is having some list of services. For example, it is having a service called, you can just click on all services to see the list of services in alphabetical order. AWS is a cloud platform. It provides many services. You can see here in the alphabetical order, it is displaying many services. We have AWS Simplify, API Gateway, many services. In the alphabetical order, it is displaying many services. So let's go and understand this. Let's go and understand about this AWS cloud in a detailed way. Let's see the introduction part of AWS, how this AWS cloud is started and all. Want to see the introduction part of AWS? You know about Amazon company. Amazon is a multi-billion-dollar company. So you know, right, how it was started. It was started in the year 1995 by Jeff Bezos as an online bookstore. So it not started as an Amazon cloud. So directly we did not get the AWS services. It started with online bookstore. It started in the year 1995 as an online bookstore. And in the beginning, they started selling DVDs, CDs, all these things. They focused on CDs, DVDs, MP3, all those things. So later, in the year 2006, see here, when did this AWS services came into the picture? In the year 2006, Amazon officially launched Amazon Web Services. In the year 2006, Amazon launched Amazon Web Services. So from that time, we were using Amazon Web Services, okay, as a cloud provider. You know, right? It is a provider of AWS is nothing but it is a provider of cloud computing services. We will understand what are all the cloud computing services that is being provided by the Amazon cloud. Okay, let's move on. So we know, right? In the AWS, we have regions. We have regions. How to understand this part? So even we need to understand how to create an account in the AWS. We will understand that once after creating an account, we can see the services. Even I have shown you how can we log in. I have logged into the AWS cloud and I can able to see some list of services. If you see here, I'm able to see this is how the page looks like. Once you log in, you can able to see this type of page. You can go for visiting all services. And particularly if you want to go and open a particular service, you can select that particular service. Suppose EC2 is one of the service. If you want to select EC2 service, you can go and select EC2. You can search here like EC2 so that you can open the EC2 service over here. So there are many services provided by the AWS. Before we understand each and every service, we need to understand very carefully that AWS is also having a geographical regions. AWS is having a geographical regions. So you see here, it has many geographical regions. Suppose if you want to create your infrastructure, you can create your infrastructure in any of the regions. You can see each and every region is having a name. US East 1, US East 2, US West 1, US West 2, like that. AP South 1, AP Northeast 3, AP Northeast 2, like that. Each and every region is having a name. So what is this region? So you need to understand what actually this region is. For that purpose, let me explain you what is happening here and how we need to understand this AWS cloud and all. So before we understand the regions, before we understand the meaning of region and all, we just need to understand the basic part. Okay, we just need to understand the basic part, like how AWS came into the picture and all. We have seen it was started in the year 1995 by Jeff Bezos. It started as an online bookstore. Later in the year 2006, Amazon launched this Amazon Web Services, and from that time, it became a major provider of the cloud computing services. Even though we have many clouds available today, multiple cloud providers available today, we have Azure cloud provider, we have Google Cloud, we have Oracle Cloud. Even though there are multiple cloud providers available today, Amazon is the leading cloud provider. Amazon is the leading cloud provider. Okay, it is in the first place. It is in the top place. And you see here, let's talk about this 25. Let's talk about these geographical regions. Okay, we will come back and discuss what is this geographical region and all. And before we understand what is this geographical region, if you want to understand any particular cloud, okay, leave about AWS, leave about Azure, Google Cloud, any of. So we are not particularly talking about a single cloud platform, but if you want to understand what does any cloud platform provides, any of the cloud platform provides. Any of the cloud platform provides availability, scalability, and pay-as-you-go model. And people today, they're migrating from on-premises to the cloud. If their infrastructure is on the on-premises, on the on-prem servers, on-prem, right? On-prem in the sense the servers which are being maintained in the office premises. Okay. So if the servers or if the infrastructure is maintained, if I'm referring to the term infrastructure, it is nothing but servers only. So if they want to maintain, so here in the cloud, we have different types of services. Cloud is providing different types of services. We'll discuss about all the services provided by the cloud. But here you see here, the topic that we were now discussing is like what AWS offers. See, it is not particularly AWS. Any of the cloud platform offers these things. Any of the cloud platform offers these things. Any cloud platform offers availability. Any cloud platform offers scalability. Any of the cloud platform offers pay-as-you-go model. Let's understand the meaning of each and every one. Let's understand the meaning of availability. What is this availability? Try to understand. You have a pen drive. And we know the purpose of having pen drive is like to store some data. Okay, for the purpose is to store some data. So if I store some data in my pen drive, and do we really think that the data which is being stored in the pen drive will be there permanently? So there are many chances that we may lose the pen drive. Otherwise, the pen drive may get corrupted. You see here, I'm just going to store my data in the pen drive. I'm thinking about I'm thinking about how far the data will be there. Okay, how far I can able to access the data. So if I want to access the data, I can able to access the data. But you see the possibilities here. I may lose the pen drive. If I lost the pen drive, is there any possibility to get the data back? No. And even if the pen drive gets corrupted, my data will also be lost. I cannot get my data back. So there are many chances okay, where my data can be lost. But if you see here, if you store the same data in the cloud, just by having an internet connection, you can able to access the data at any point of time. Try to understand. If the same data is being stored in the cloud, you can able to access the data at any point of time just by having an internet connection. What you all required is having an internet connection. If you have an internet connection, you can able to access the data at any point of time. So that is called availability. If you see here, the next one is scalability. Any cloud, see, I'm not particularly talking about the AWS cloud. Any cloud provides availability. Just now we have seen the example. What is availability? AWS promises 99.11 nines of availability. What is this 11 nines of availability? 100% availability. If you store data in the AWS cloud, so AWS promises 100% availability, that at any point of time you can come and access the data just by having an internet connection, which is called availability. And the next one is scalability. The actual meaning of scalability is ability to grow in the size. The actual meaning of scalability is the ability to grow in size. Suppose let's take the same example of pen drive. You have some 16 GB pen drive, and you are using that for storing the data. But think the same pen drive can be used after a few days. Like, your data will be increasing. Usually data will grow, and so your requirement might change. Today you are using 16 GB pen drive. Okay, tomorrow, like, your data size may get increases and you may require some 32 GB pen drive. So is it possible to store 32 GB data in the 16 GB pen drive? No, not at all possible. And is there any possibility to increase the 16 GB size pen drive to 32 GB? We cannot do it. So if it is a 16 GB pen drive, how can we increase the capacity of that pen drive to some extent? No, we cannot do it. So the only option is, like, you need to buy some other storage device which is having some high storage capacity. Meaning, you need to go and purchase some 32 GB pen drive for storing your data. But the same example, okay, in the same scenario, if you consider the AWS cloud, okay, not only AWS cloud, if you consider any cloud platform is providing you the storage service. Any cloud platform, AWS, Azure, Google, okay, cloud platform is providing you the storage service. You can directly go and store your data there in the cloud provider, any of the cloud provider. And today, if you have only 1 GB of data, you can store that 1 GB of data. And tomorrow, if you have some other files, you can also store those files also. And the only thing is, like, it is having a scalability. Today, you have only 1 GB of data. You can store 1 GB of data. If all of a sudden, tomorrow or day after tomorrow, if you have some 5 GB of data, yes, you can store the 5 GB of data in the cloud. So cloud is providing you the provision to store any amount of data. It is not putting any restrictions. There is no restriction in the cloud that you can store only 1 GB of data or 5 GB of data. You can store any amount of data here in the cloud. Cloud is providing that provision. And one more thing, scalability, the actual meaning of scalability is ability to grow in the size. I told you, right, the example. Today you have 5 GB data. You are going to store the data in the cloud. And tomorrow, all of a sudden, if the data size increases, if your need increases, and if you want to store some 30 GB of data or 100 GB of data, yes, you are most welcome. You can come and store your data in the cloud. Instant elasticity. Okay, if you want to store your data, you can store at any point of time, and even the size doesn't matter. It eliminates the guessing on your infrastructure. You don't need to guess whether I need 60 GB pen drive, 32 GB pen drive. You don't need to worry about the size. You don't need to worry about your size. Your size may be like, you can have some 5 GB of data, 10 GB of data. Okay, you don't need to worry about your infrastructure capacity. Why? Because cloud is providing you cloud is providing you the space, you can store your data. Okay, this is called scalability. Hope you understood what is availability. Your data is available. If you store your data will be available at any point of time just by having an internet connection. That's why AWS promises 11 nines of availability. 11 nines are nothing but 100% availability. Scalability means ability to grow in the size. You don't need to you don't need to guess your infrastructure capacity. You don't need to think about infrastructure capacity. Okay, why? Because cloud provides you the infinite storage. And one more thing, pay as you go model. This is very, very important. You see, you have only 1 GB of data. You stored only 1 GB of data in the cloud. Just because the cloud is able to provide infinite storage, it is not going to charge you for the infinite storage. It is not going to charge. So cloud is going to charge only for the data that you have stored in the cloud platform. Very low ongoing cost. Pay as you go. If you store 1 GB data, they will charge only for the 1 GB data. If your data size increases to 2 GB, they will charge for the 2 GB. Pay as you go model. The amount of the size of the data you store, only for the size of the data they use. Got it? So I'm just taking an example. Why? Because still we don't know about any of the services in the AWS cloud. That's why I'm taking an example of storage. Why? Because this might you will understand this example. That's why I have taken this example of the storage. You can take any of the example, okay, any of the service. Each and every service is being provided with pay as you go model only. Pay as you go. Suppose if you take one server in the AWS cloud, if you create one server in the AWS cloud, and if you are using that server, okay, how they are going to charge? If you are going to use that server for 1 hour, they will charge only for 1 hour. If you are going to use that server for 2 hours, they will charge only for the 2 hours. So that type of flexibility is there. That is called pay as you go model. Pay as you go. How long you use it, you need to pay only for the usage only. Okay. This is called pay as you go model. And you see here, one more thing you need to understand. This point I have covered already. So there are many cloud providers available. AWS, Microsoft, Azure, Google Cloud, Oracle, IBM Cloud. There are many cloud providers available, but AWS is the leading cloud provider. As of today, AWS is the leading cloud provider. And you see here, these are the list of the services that we are going to discuss in this particular course. We are going to discuss about the EC2 service, S3. EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. Okay, so we cannot discuss about each and every service here. List of services that I'm going to discuss with you in this particular course. We'll be talking about a service called EC2. EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. S3 stands for Simple Storage Service. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. ELB stands for Elastic Load Balancer. EAS, Auto Scaling. VPC, very, very important thing. VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. Virtual Private Cloud. The next one is Route 53. Route 53. RDS, Relational Database Service. And Elastic Base Stack, CloudTrail, SES, SQS. Okay. SNS. These are all the services that we are going to talk about. So let's go and start. Let's go and start like, okay, with any of the service. Let's start with the service called EC2. So if you want to start with any of the service, the main thing that you need is you need to create an AWS account. First of all, you must understand like how to create an AWS account. So let me sign out. I am already having an AWS account. Let me sign out from this account. I'll show you what is the procedure and what is the actual process that to create an AWS account. I hope most of you will have an AWS accounts. I hope most of you will have an AWS accounts. If any one of you doesn't have an AWS account, please follow this process to create an account. Okay. You see here, you need to go to the website called aws.amazon.com. So I'm just telling like how to create an account in the AWS cloud. You need to go to the account. You need to go to the website called aws.amazon.com. Please visit this website, aws.amazon.com. Once you go to this website, you can able to see the page like this. And usually you can able to see sign up option here. You see here, I'm just clicking on sign into the console. I can see this. Yeah, you can able to see some sign in button or sign into the console. You just click on the sign into the console. So who will log into the AWS cloud? Usually people already having an account in the AWS cloud, they will log in by providing the user email address and password. You see here, I'm already having an account in the AWS cloud. I'm going to provide the email address. Okay, I'm going to provide my email address. I'll just provide next button. I'll just click on next button and I'll provide my password. So if I provide my password, then I can able to sign into the AWS cloud. So you see here, once I log into the AWS cloud, I can able to see the page like this. Okay, I recently visited these services in the cloud platform EC2 S3 IAM, but you have many services. If you want to see the list of services, you can just click on the services and you can just click on all services option. Alphabetical wise, it will display all the services. Suppose if you are if you are going to create a new account, what you need to do is, if you are going to create a new account, what you need to do is, you need to just click on this option called create a new AWS account. In the sign-in page, in the same sign-in page, if you come down, you will find an option to create a new AWS account. Just click on create a new AWS. That's it. You will just need to click on create a new AWS account. So creating an AWS account is very, very easy thing. Like you just need to provide few things. Like you need to provide your email address. Okay, you need to provide your email address and you need to provide some name to your AWS account. You can provide any name because there are no restrictions. You need to provide a valid email address. You need to provide the AWS account name and you just need to click on the verify email address. So your email address will be verified by sending some OTPs to your mail. So once you verify your email address, then you need to go for another page. Okay, you will be redirected to the next page where it will ask for some other basic details. Okay, it will take all your basic details. And one more thing is like you need to do the payment. So you'll see one more page for the payment. So at the payment section, the only thing you need to do is you need to provide either your debit card or credit card details. So without debit card or credit card, we cannot create an account in the AWS. So this is a very simple process. You can, if you go to the aws.amazon.com, you see here, I'm just showing you, right? Okay, if you follow the same steps, if you'll go to the sign in page, first of all, you'll go to the sign in page, you'll see an option called create an AWS account. And here you need to provide all your email address, account name and all, verify the email address. And the next page will be, you will be directed to the next page. There you will give all the details. Okay, some other details like your address, all those things, your address, mobile number, everything it will take. And the next page is like the payment one. So at the payment section, you need to provide either your debit card details or credit card details. And it is not possible to create an account without your debit or credit card details. Why? Because definitely you have to provide for validating. Okay, for the validation purpose. This is only for the validation purpose. Whether right users are creating the accounts. Okay, for that validation purpose, you need to provide your debit card or credit card details. And make sure whether if you are providing your debit or credit card details, make sure your card is enabled for the international transactions. Make sure that your card is enabled for the international transactions. What do you mean by international transaction? You see here, in your card, okay, suppose if you are using a credit card or debit card, so your card must be enabled for the international transactions. If you have a net banking, you can go through the net banking, you can log into the net banking and you can enable international transactions. Otherwise, you can contact the customer care to enable the international transactions. You can do either. Okay. So if you have internet banking, you can directly log into the internet banking and you can enable the international transactions. Okay. If you don't have internet banking, If you don't have an internet banking, you can reach out to the customer care. You can reach out to the bank. You can reach out to your bank and you can enable your international transactions. Usually we see domestic transactions, international transactions, online transactions. All these options will be there if you log into the net banking and all. Okay, you need to enable international transactions, and once that is enabled, okay, if you most probably that international transaction option will be in the off state for most of the cards. Okay, see, whenever you can directly try with your card. You can directly try with your card. If the transaction is taking place, that is fine. If the transactions are not taking, if it is failing, then you need to understand that your card is not enabled for the international transactions and you need to find out. Okay, you need to go through and you need to enable international transactions. And once you use that proper card, once you are using the proper card which is enabled for the international transactions, then your account will be created. AWS account will be created. You can log into the AWS account by providing your email address and password. Okay, you know, right, how we are going to log in and all. Once everything is done, once our card details, everything is done, and once your payment is processed, you see here only 2 rupees will be deducted from your account. 2 rupees. Okay, only 2 rupees of Indian currency will be deducted from your account, and even that 2 rupees will also be refunded after 24 to 48 hours. Okay, they won't charge anything. They will charge 2 rupees from your account. Even that also will be refunded after 24 hours. Okay, after 24 to 48 hours. Okay, so please try to create an AWS account today. Okay, so that you will also experience all the services. You can also practice all the services if anyone doesn't have an AWS. So I'm just going to log in to the AWS accounts, AWS account, to my AWS account. I'm going to provide my email ID, email address, as well as password to log into the AWS cloud. And as soon as you log into the AWS cloud, you can see all the services. Okay, if you see the services page, you can just click on the services page. You can able to see all the services here. So one more thing, very important thing that you need to understand is here you will see the regions here. You will see the geographical regions. As I told you, AWS cloud is having geographical regions. What do you mean by geographical regions? That's what we need to understand now. What is this geographical region? Okay, let me explain you what is actually a geographical region. Consider this is an AWS cloud. Okay, this is an AWS cloud. And you know, AWS is a cloud platform. Okay, AWS is a cloud platform which provides you many services, which provides you the list of services. And let's discuss about what we are going to do with the help of those services. Okay, what we are going to do with the help of those services, let's discuss them. Consider this is an AWS cloud. Inside the AWS cloud, you will see many geographical regions. This is one geographical region. This is another geographical region. Okay, we are going to see multiple geographical regions. What is this geographical region? We need to understand what actually this geographical region is. So if you think about this cloud platform, okay, if you think about this AWS cloud platform, it consists of many geographical regions. What is this geographical regions? You see, AWS is going to have an infrastructure. AWS is having its infrastructure. You know what is infrastructure? Suppose if I want to create, or if I want to store some data, what actually you require for storing the data? You need hard disk, right? Hello. Suppose if you want to store your data in the cloud, as I told you, cloud is providing you some storage service. If you want to store your data, cloud is providing you the storage service. Yes, you can store your data. So for storing the data, what actually the infrastructure we use? We know, right? Storage devices. Okay, that can be some external hard disks, pen drives we use. Similarly, cloud is also having some infrastructure. Consider cloud is also having some storage devices. Okay, so that storage devices, you see here, try to understand this example. AWS cloud is going to maintain its infrastructure in the different regions. It is not keeping its infrastructure in only a single region. It's maintaining its infrastructure in the different regions. If you want to store your data, the storage devices are present in the region 1 as well as the region 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there are many regions, nearly 25 regions are there. In all the regions, we can able to store data in all of the regions, any of the regions. We can store our data in any of the regions. How can we see the regions? Once after logging to the account, you can see here, once after you log into the AWS account, you can see the regions here, geographical regions here. You can able to see North Virginia. AWS is maintaining its infrastructure in the North Virginia. AWS is maintaining its infrastructure in Ohio, in California, in Oregon, Mumbai, Osaka, Seoul, Singapore. See, AWS is maintaining its infrastructure in many of the regions, not in a single region. If you want to create your infrastructure, if you want to store your data in US East 1, yes. If you want to store your US East 2, if you want to store your data in US East 2, yes, you can store. If you want to store your data in the US West 1 region, each and every region is having a code here. North Virginia, the region code is US East 1. Ohio, the region code is US East 2. Mumbai, the region code is AP-South-1. AP South 1 is the region code for Mumbai. You can select any of the region for storing your data. Okay, so what actually we need to understand is AWS is maintaining its infrastructure in different regions, in different places. That's the reason why we are calling them as regions. Okay, let's talk. Okay, now let's start with one service. Okay, let's start with the first service. Let's start with the first service called EC2. As you all know, let's start with the first service called EC2. We are going to talk about the first service called EC2. Let's talk about the service called EC2. What is this EC2? EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. What is this Elastic Compute Cloud? What is this Elastic Compute Cloud? Let's talk about this service. Suppose you see here, I want to I want to have some Linux server. I want to have some Linux server. I want to create some Linux server. If I want to have some Linux server, I am using my Windows operating system. Okay, my machine is having Windows operating system, but I want to have Linux environment. How can I get the Linux environment in the Windows machine? Currently I'm using Windows operating system, but I want to have Linux environment. How can I get Linux environment in my Windows machine? Yes, there are possibilities. One thing is like I can install Linux environment. I can install Linux operating system in my machine, or otherwise I can also install VMware software in my machine, and on top of the VMware I can install Linux operating system. Okay, or otherwise, if you want to practice some Linux commands, okay, let's take this example. If you want to practice some Linux commands, how you are going to take the Linux server? The possibilities are either you need to install Linux environment in your local machine by removing the Windows operating system. By uninstalling the Windows operating system, you can install Linux environment. That is the first option. Show you. Okay. So it is taking. Let me open. Okay, let's discuss about this one. Let it open. I'll explain you. So what we are going to do is like we are going to create some servers. This particular service is mainly for creating servers. If you want to create a server, yes, you can go to the service called EC2 in the cloud, AWS cloud. You can create your servers. These are nothing but machines, virtual machines. Machine. If you want a server, if you want a Linux server, how to get a Linux server? You can create Linux server in the AWS cloud. If you want to create a Linux server or if you want to create a Windows server, any of the server, okay, you can create any server with any of the operating system. You can create any server with any of the operating system. If you want any server, if you want any machine, you can go to the service called EC2 and you can create. How to create? You can go to the launch instance option. Try to understand here. I'm just going to the launch instance option. You see what are the sequence of steps that we need to follow. See, whenever you are creating any of the, whenever you create or whenever you need whenever you need any machine, see here. Suppose you need any server. If you need any server is nothing but a machine, right? Server or computer or any machine. Okay, if you want any machine, or if you are going to buy a laptop, or so even if you are going to buy a laptop from outside, you want to purchase a laptop, what do you think? The very first thing is like you need few things, right? You need few things there. First one is like you may need the hardware like RAM. You will see whenever you want to purchase about a laptop or you want to purchase about a particular machine, computer, what are the things that you will think of? We really think of the RAM, random access machine. What is the size of the RAM? And after that, I will also think about the storage capacity. Okay, hard disk. What is the storage? Storage is nothing but hard disk. I'll think of the hard disk. RAM. I require RAM. I require hard disk. And what are the other things that we require for a particular computer? OS. What is the OS of that particular machine? I need random access memory. I need hard disk. I also need operating system. And what are the other things that I require? Can you tell me? These are the main things, right? We need to focus. These are the main things that we need. See, very important thing that you need to focus on the CPU processor also. So usually whenever we are purchasing a computer, we usually think about the CPU. What is the processor? Is it an i5 processor, i7 processor? Is it an advanced one? Okay. So is it an ordinary processor? We will think of many things. Based on the processing capacity, also the cost varies. So many things we will talk about whenever we purchase server or whenever we purchase a computer. These are the things mainly we need to focus. Okay. So in the same way, if you want to create a server in the AWS cloud, you see at first you need to choose your operating system image. AMI, the very first option is AMI. AMI is nothing but you need to choose an operating system. You see here we have lots of images here. We have Amazon Linux. We have different flavors of Linux operating systems. If you want to create a Windows server, if you want to have Windows operating system, you can select Windows. If you want to create a Linux environment, you can select Linux. If you want to create some other server like Ubuntu, you can select some other operating system like Ubuntu. There are many Linux flavors like Mac OS, Ubuntu, Red Hat, SUSE Linux. There are different flavors of Linux operating systems. Let me go with the Windows operating system first. You can select any of the operating system. Okay, I'm just going with the Windows operating system for now. I'm going with the Windows operating system. Okay, I want to create a Windows server, so I'm selecting with the Windows operating system. The very first option is AMI. You need to choose the AMI. AMI stands for Amazon Machine Image. Okay, what is the actual meaning of AMI? You need to choose the operating system for your computer. You are going to create a server. You are going to have a server from the AWS cloud. So further, the very first option it is asking is you need to choose your operating system, OS image. Operating system is Windows. I have selected operating system as Windows. Okay, I have selected the operating system as Windows. And you can see here, if you select any of the particular operating system, and you will see some drop down here, there are many images, there are many things available for the free tier eligibility. You see here, we are using a free tier account. So whenever you are creating an account, it will ask you two options. Okay, one is free tier or whether you want to go with the paid account. Okay, you need to choose a free tier account only, not the licensed one. Okay, you need to choose a free tier account only. So if you are creating a free tier account, definitely, if you are creating a free tier account, you need to use some free tier eligible machines, free tier eligible things. So whenever you want to practice, always choose the free tier eligible ones. Don't choose the other ones. So even you can use this, you can choose the other ones also. But if you use this free tier eligible ones, okay, so you can use your account for longer period. You can use your account for the longer period. Always choose to use this free tier eligible ones. Okay. So I have selected the operating system as Windows. I am selecting the image. I am selecting this free tier eligible image, Microsoft Server 2022. This is the image name. Okay. We have lots of images here. I'm selecting. You can select any of the image. You can select any of the image, but I am selecting this particular image, Windows Server 2022. I'm coming down. The next option you see, I have chosen operating system. Still many things you need to focus, like many things you need to choose. You need to choose what is the instance type. The second option is like you need to choose the instance type. What is the instance type? So this particular instance type, you see here, we have different types of instance type like T2.nano, T2.small, T2.micro. Okay, we have different names, T2.medium, T2.large, T2.x large, T2.2x large. There are different names. But I am going to choose for now, I am going to choose T2.micro. I am going to choose T2.micro. What is the specialty of this T2.micro? Why I am selecting this T2.micro? It is having a very small amount of CPU, only one CPU and 1 GB RAM. You see, when I am selecting the instance type, what I am getting? So what is the first step I have chosen? What is the first step I have chosen is I have selected the OS. And what is the operating system I have selected? Windows operating system I have selected. Any operating system you can select. That doesn't matter. The first option is like we are choosing the OS image. And the second one is like instance type. What is the instance type? This instance type will gives you the CPU as well as random access capacity. Okay, it will give you the CPU as well as RAM. So where it is particularly mentioning how many number of CPUs or what is the RAM capacity, I'll get one CPU. You will get only one CPU. If you choose this T2.micro, you will get only one CPU and you will get 1 GB memory. 1 GB memory means 1 GB RAM. Okay, 1 GB memory in the sense you will get 1 GB random access memory, 1 CPU and 1 GB RAM. These two things you will get. Okay. And you know what are the other things we require? We know we got operating system and we know what is the CPU and random access memory we are getting. Okay. And let's see what are other things we need to see. And we will also, okay, we will also need to generate a key pair. You see here, we will also need to generate a key pair. The next option is that we need to have a key pair. So there is a purpose of this key pair. Let's understand this key pair. Let's understand the purpose of this key pair later. But for now, what you need to understand, right? What you need to understand is like you need to create a key pair. You need to create a key pair. Okay. I'll tell you the purpose. Okay, we will come back and we will discuss about this key pair. But you need to create a key pair. The purpose of this key pair is to securely connect to your instance. So what is the purpose of this key pair? Let me explain you the purpose of this key pair. If you are creating a key pair, you see here, what we are doing, we are going to create a server. We are going to create a computer in the AWS cloud. Okay, this is AWS cloud. We are going to create a computer in the AWS cloud. If you are creating a computer in the AWS cloud, you need to think of, so what is that particular server? What is the OS of this particular server? Okay, and what is the RAM size of that server? And we should also think about what is the CPU, what is the CPU capacity. And we will also think about the storage. We will also think about the storage capacity of that server. Everything. Okay, we are talking about all these things. Once after doing all these things, you should also think about how you are going to connect from your local machine. This is my local laptop. Okay, just think about that. This is my laptop. This is my personal laptop. So if this is my personal laptop, how you are going to connect? How you are going to connect from your personal laptop? That is very, very important. How you are going to connect from your personal laptop to the AWS cloud? This is my personal laptop, and I'm creating a server in the AWS cloud. I'm going to create a server in the AWS cloud. How I'm going to connect to the AWS cloud? From my local laptop, from my personal laptop, how I'm going to connect to the AWS cloud. Okay. So for that purpose, we need to generate a key pair. So for connecting to the machine from your local machine, for connecting to the AWS cloud from your local from your personal laptop, you need to generate a key pair. That is the purpose why we are generating a key pair. So key pair is mainly to securely connect to your instance. How to generate a key pair? You need to click on create a new key pair option, and you can give some key pair name. Key pair name can be anything. You don't need to worry about the name of the key pair. You can provide any name. Suppose I'm just giving like AWS 28. I'm just giving the name of this key pair as AWS Devops. But make sure that you are giving some meaningful name, to the key pair. I'm just giving AWS Devops 28. Okay. I'm coming down. I'm just selecting a key pair. Okay. So by default, you don't need to select any of the options. By default, give some name to the key pair and create a key pair. One important observation that once after creating a key pair, you need to see that key pair is generated, key pair is downloaded, and key pair extension is .pem. You see here we have selected .pem. Okay, we are generating a key pair in the form of .pem. PEM stands for privacy enhanced mail. PEM stands for privacy enhanced mail. This is one of the format. Like this is a security key. Okay, this is a key actually. Okay, what is this key? This key is mainly for connecting to the instance that is creating in the cloud. We are creating a server, right? We are creating an instance in the cloud. See, I am using different terminologies: server, instance, computer, anything is same. But according to the AWS terminology, we need to call them as instances. AWS instance. So if you want to connect with your AWS instance, you need to have a key pair. That key pair I have downloaded. So that is the purpose here. Okay. You have downloaded a key pair. So once after downloading the key pair, you see here, I am selecting the key pair name AWS Devops 28. This is the key pair name I have provided. And the key pair is downloaded to my local machine. You see, the key pair is downloaded to my local machine. With the help of this key pair only, I am going to connect to that instance securely. With this key pair only, I'm going to connect to the instance securely. Okay, I have downloaded the key pair. So the next thing is network settings. So network settings is a huge option. Network settings is again a huge concept we need to understand. There is a concept we need to understand about the network settings. So we have a topic called VPC. To understand this network settings, we are going to discuss about a topic called VPC. VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud. For now, I am not going to make any changes in this network settings. I'm going to take the default VPC. Okay. I'm going to have the network settings as default. I'm not selecting anything. I'm leaving the default settings as it is. Why? Because we need to understand the VPC. Once we understand the VPC, we'll understand what is this VPC, what is the subnet, how we are giving the network settings for a particular machine. Okay. So for that purpose, until we understand the VPC concept, I am not making any changes to the network settings. I'm leaving this network settings by default. You are not making any changes. By default, it will take some settings. Okay, let it take the default settings. Okay, don't change anything here. So the next thing is, like we need to understand about, okay, I'm not changing anything. Network, VPC, all these things. Okay, we will understand all these things when we understand about the VPC. I'm going to talk about the security group now. This is important thing. This is one more important thing that we need to understand. You see here, I did not select any option here in the firewalls. You know what is the firewall or what is the security group? So security group is nothing but a set of firewalls that control the traffic for your instance. You see here, I just shown you some example. We are creating a computer or we are creating an instance in the AWS cloud, and I want to connect to this instance from my personal laptop. So to connect to this instance, some port needs to be opened here. In this particular machine, some port needs to be opened. What is a port? See, port is nothing but some point of contact for the communication. Port is nothing but some point of contact for the communication. I am here. I am in my personal laptop. I want to connect to this instance in the AWS cloud. Definitely some port needs to be open here. When I'm talking about the ports, which is nothing but firewall, some port number needs to be opened here. What port needs to be opened? You can see here. I am creating a Windows server. Since I am creating a Windows server, by default, it is suggesting that it is allowing the RDP traffic, RDP protocol. See, by default, it has selected some option called RDP. RDP stands for what? RDP, Remote Desktop Protocol. Okay. So I have RDP protocol here. It is allowing RDP traffic. Why? Because I have selected a Windows server by default. See, it is very intelligent. I did not selected this option. It is very intelligent. Since I am selecting the Windows server by default, this particular option is selected. Even if you want, you can modify the option. By default, these are the things that got selected. Okay, by default. So you understood, right? What is a security group here? This is very, very important thing in the AWS. If someone asks you like what is a security group in the AWS cloud while creating an instance, security groups talks about the firewalls. Security group talks about the set of firewalls that needs to be opened. Suppose if you want to connect to any server, Windows server from your local machine, a port needs to be opened there, which is called RDP. A port needs to be opened. What is the port that needs to be opened? RDP, Remote Desktop Protocol. RDP port needs to be opened here. Okay, and the next option is the last option that I am selecting is the storage, hard disk capacity. So I'm not selecting any hard disk capacity. By default, it is showing that I'm having 30 GB of storage, and 30 GB of storage is enough. If you want to increase it, you can increase it. But for free tier, since I am using the free tier account, free tier eligible customers can get up to 30 GB of storage. Yes, 30 GB storage is enough. I'm not making any changes. This option is for storing the data. Okay, storage capacity. RAM is different. Hard disk is different. Okay, RAM is different. Hard disk is different. So in the beginning itself, we already got OS. We got this instance type. So whenever we choose the instance type, we will get CPU as well as random access memory. And we also generated a key pair. Key pair is mainly for connecting to the instance securely. We will have a key. With the help of that key, we will connect. And even you have the key, you need to enable the firewall. So this firewall needs to be opened. This port needs to be opened there. Then only we can able to connect. Okay. So that's the reason why I'm going. The next option is like you need to select the storage. By default, the 30 GB storage is here. Okay, I'm going to just select and launch an instance. That's it. So these are the options that I'm using for creating a server. I'm creating a Windows server. Okay, I'm creating a Windows server. I'm just creating a Windows server. Okay. You see here, I'm just going to the instances. Okay, I'm going to the EC2 dashboard. I'm selecting the instances running. You see here, I don't have any instances. Just now I created one instance. That instance is in the running state. That instance is in the pending state. And once that instance comes to the running state, then we can able to connect to that instance. So there are different ways. There are different ways how we are going to connect to this instance. We have created this instance, right? We have created this instance. There are different ways how we are going to connect to this instance from our local machine. Okay, we will be discussing in the next session. This is how we are creating an instance. For connecting to this instance from our local machine, there are different ways. We are going to discuss that in the next session. Okay. So any doubts? So I'll give you some time for doubts and all. Please let me know if you have any doubts. Let's discuss. And in the next session, we will see how we are going to connect to this device, how we are going to connect to this machine from our local laptop. Okay. Any doubts you have? Please let me know if you have any doubts.
Hello, Amsi. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
See, I already let you know that. Actually, I am working in Genpact for cybersecurity L1 level, Amsi.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Please do.
Yeah. I worked in Genpact and cybersecurity L1 level. My next level is SOC Security Operations Center. That is the L2 level. But
Mhm.
what is the difference between SOC and its cloud security? Both are similar, or which one is better? I'm saying replacing.
See, actually, this particular thing is like, if you learn this particular course, you can able to work like, you can able to work as an AWS associate cloud engineer. Okay, you can able to work as an AWS associate cloud engineer. You see here, if you see, if you are going to work on the security side in the AWS cloud, so that's again a different course. Okay, that's again a different course. But so this is mainly for this particular course is mainly useful for you to work as an AWS associate cloud engineer. So this is all cloud operations, creating infrastructure, and we are going to learn some DevOps tools also, like Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes. So this is completely DevOps side. Along with we are going to learn AWS cloud. So for a DevOps engineer, like it is better to have a cloud knowledge. So that's why any one of the cloud knowledge is preferable. So that's the reason why DevOps people who will be working on the DevOps, they they can have the cloud knowledge as well. So, but if you see, you are working on a different stream, right? You are working on a different stream. So, if you want to switch to the cloud platform, then this will be suitable. This will be benefit for you. So, why I'm telling is like if you are working on some support side, usually the growth will not be there, right? So now there is a huge demand for the cloud operations and all. There are many cloud providers, right? So even if you learn AWS cloud, you can able to work on the Azure, Google Cloud. You can switch easily to the cloud side. Hope you got it, right? What I'm asking.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
So any other questions? Yeah, please. Yes, please. Okay. If nobody is having questions, let's meet tomorrow for the next session. Okay, thank you all. Let's meet tomorrow for the next session. Okay. Let's meet tomorrow for the next session. If you have any doubts still, we can discuss. Otherwise, let's, yeah, please. Yeah, I can hear you, please.
What about fresher jobs, Vamsi? It is
What,
useful for just
what about freshers?
yes.
Yeah, definitely. So suppose if you are a fresher and if you are going to enter into the IT industry, so definitely you can update your profile with all these skills, right? If you learn this particular course, so AWS
Okay.
cloud as well as DevOps tools, you can update your profile with these skills so that you will be allocated in the project where you are having where they are having the requirement. Okay. So in that way, that
Okay.
will be helpful, very helpful, and your growth you will also have a wonderful growth. Why? Because if you directly join as a cloud resource or the DevOps resource, that will be very good benefit for you.
Okay. Okay. Vamsi, thank you.
What I suggest is I strongly suggest you to go with the course. Okay, definitely it will help you. So
Yeah.
if they deploy you in the same project, the similar kind of project related to the DevOps or cloud, definitely that will be
Yeah.
good benefit for you.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Vamsi.
Thank you.
How
Thank you.
can we get this recorded video, Vamsi?
Yeah, you will get the recorded videos. Okay, you will get the recorded videos every day.
Okay.
We will take care of. Okay, you will get a mail. You will get an email notification. So you
Yeah.
can open the link of that video and you can watch the video every day.
Okay, Vamsi. Thank you.
You need to
Thank
register
you.
mail ID so that you will get the recorded video every day for your mail.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you, Vamsi.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Let's meet tomorrow for the next session.